Everton have been in a really weird position over probably the whole post David Moyes era upon his return, where they've seen other teams maybe climb up the table, get some glory even on the continent with Conference League wins and Champions League runs and all that kind of thing as well. And Everton have spent a lot of money over that time period, and now coming into this year, it might just be like a new kind of history book is starting to be written because they're moving in to their new stadium. Of course, they've got David Moyes, the Moyes back in the building, and coming into this Premier League season, they're kind of flying under the radar as well. I don't really hear many people talking about Everton positively or negatively, but where the squad is sitting right now is actually pretty interesting. And if you listen to all the transfer rumours that are going around the now for the likes of Jay Tyler Dibling, Jack Grealish, Nico Gonzalez, Douglas Luiz, etc., you then kind of think, hold on, what's going on at Everton? In the video today, we're going to have a look at the Everton squad, where it's sitting right now, what we think about the business that they've maybe got, those irons in the fire, where that could maybe take them this year. Because, if there's one thing about Everton and David Moyes, they don't mind flying under the radar, and sometimes that's kind of where they're the most comfortable, where no one's writing them off necessarily, but people are maybe not taking them as super seriously, and David Moyes has got good form, good track record over his career for really producing those results that don't really match up to pre-season expectations, certainly. So really looking forward to catching up with Everton, seeing where they're at. If you're an Everton fan yourself catching the video, of course, please feel free to leave your contributions, your insights, your thoughts and feelings, your takeaways, whatever, in the comment section of the video. Always interested to see here on the Quinny FC channel what your guys' thoughts and feelings are that go to the matches, that follow the club intently, of course. At any point in the video, no matter who you support, if you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. And yeah, let's just get struck straight into it. Because so far over pre-season, we've had this kind of like Premier League thing in America, haven't we? And we've seen them get beat off of Bournemouth 3-0. And you can see the sort of team and the shape that the David Moyes went for there. Following on to a 2-1 loss to West Ham. And again, quite a different shape and a number of different personnel being used. Before then drawing 2 each with the new look, the new feel Man United team. And again, a bit of a different change of shape. Whatever's maybe similar to the first team that we've seen here. But looking at the defence composition with Tarkowski, whereas previously we'd had Patterson in there and Garner in at centre back in the first game. So there's been a few different tweaks and everything like that coming from David Moyes over this pre-season, which David Moyes maybe doesn't get all the credit he deserves for how tactically kind of astute he is. He's a very good student of the game and has a very strong career under his belt, despite the lows, which are quite well documented at this point. But really, if you lay out, and I know the reason for me showing that is I know Everton will change their shape a little bit. Dwight McNeil will probably play on the left, he may play on the right, he may play in number 10. I know there's a lot more to it, but in general, this is the squad as it sits now. It's actually quite thin, isn't it? But the blue team being the best 11 and then the whites being predominantly the second string. And again, I know the defence combinations can get quite interesting and quite intricate at times, depending on the shape that he's going for here. But I really do like the two banks of defence that David Moyes has built here, with the starting 4 that we've got. And maybe as time goes on, this Aznou from Bayern Munich has got wonderkid vibes, and I know a lot of Everton fans are really excited. So maybe that can flip after a couple of games or as we progress through the season. But this is a really nice, young, progressive, modern defence here, which is definitely not weak or not been able to put their head in where it hurts or be strong in challenges, that type of thing. Can run all day up and down the lines, and generally really good defenders, and especially with guys like O'Brien and Branthwaite, guys that have got continental sort of experience before making it in the Premier League. And then you've got those kind of serious campaigners of Tarkowski and Keane. And then you've got Coleman on the other side here, Travers and Pickford. And I know Travers isn't everyone's flavour of the month right now. But I really like what they've kind of built there in defence. The midfield is a wee bit on the thinner side. I forgot to add Armstrong in, so sorry in case any have been shouting that at me in the comment sections. But it's a little bit on the thinner side. He likes to use James Garner in a number of different positions. We all know what Gana Gay is all about. And Alcaraz, I don't think all Everton fans thought he was going to be playing a big part, but it seems to be so far. And Ndai, who on my tactics board is just going to be designated as Pinar. I just can't help myself. Dwight McNeil, I think the signing of Barry is actually a really good one. I think he'll be a lot more successful than what we've seen from Beto or even Nicholas Jackson, who Barry replaced at Villareal. And I don't think Barry has got much more meat on the bone when it comes to Premier League credentials than what Nicholas Jackson had necessarily, but I think he'll work better for Everton than Jackson did for Chelsea, if that makes sense. He's a big guy, he's got very good technique, very good kind of nose for danger, and if he's got this type of support feeding him, I think Everton have got like their real arrowhead striker back into the team, which then makes a strong defence even more worthwhile, and it then just maybe puts a bit of an extra focus on midfield. We've just had the signing of Kieran Dewsbury Hall into Everton as well as we come to record the video, and I think that's one of the players that really does highlight the kind of solid base that Everton have got here, because between Kieran Dewsbury Hall and James Garner and those guys that are in support of the striker, they've got, and this guy Armstrong as well for that matter, they've got supreme versatility where they can be really flexible whether they're playing home or away, whether they're against a team they should do better against possession and chance creation wise, or whether they're against the ball a bit more and that sort of thing. But it is, like I said, just on the thin side, and it is really only in the wings where you really see that. They might struggle for chance creation, they might struggle from goals from other areas, outside of these kind of central base players certainly. And that's not to say that Ndiaye won't be getting his fair share of goals, because I'm sure he will, but again, for the full season, with cup games coming into the equation, it's just super thin. Now, I don't know how many wingers or any more attacking players Everton are going to go and get, but it seems like they're fairly determined to get Jay Tyler Dibling in, and with the reputation and the style of play that this kid has, he would offer something really different to the other players in the Everton attack line here. And that's not to say he's better or whatever, I think the word is different. A guy that's much happier to go on the dribble, a guy that's a bit more, shoulders back, chin up when it comes to dribbling and taking people on, and a bit more aggressive in that kind of sense. I think his parallel to Jack Grealish is really strong, and some of the reports I'm reading online says Grealish would be open to a move to Everton. Would you be able to sign Dibling for big money, bring Grealish in on loan and maybe paying like a good portion of his wages? I don't think Everton would be that hard stretched to pull something off like that. And I think really if you do get yourself into this zone here where you've got Grealish and Dibling now pushing McNeil and Pienaar, maybe again as the season progresses or for certain matches you might even see both of them playing, wouldn't that give Everton such an exciting and a dynamic option style of play, and overall like really make them a scary team, And we've seen some teams over the Premier League, let's even just call it over the last 5 years, that with a really strong start and with like a really effective attack with that solid defence can get themselves into a really strong position in the table early on, and that's really the foothold you get or you need early in the season if you are going to really be one of those top half teams that really pushes the envelope and makes a bit of a difference. And I think the ambition Everton are showing with these links, never mind the link that kind of won't go away right now, to Douglas Luiz, who I think on top of any of these wide attacking upgrades that Everton are looking to get, will just put that top end quality into the team. We've seen this with even with West Ham with Lucas Paqueta, but you can look at the likes of Newcastle with Bruno Guimaraes. Brighton have produced a lot of these players off their own back and then ended up selling them, but you do see this with a lot of the teams in the Premier League that make that step out of the pack, and really join the top end of the league that are going to go on and get European places and go in big cup runs. They have that international calibre, commanding, leading central midfielder, and it's not to say that any of these guys are like weak or not got that leader ability or whatever, but I think looking at the rest of the quality in the team here, Douglas Luiz in stature, ability, and his kind of repertoire of what he does for the team, he would add another dimension into the midfield and probably give them that, and even Douglas Luiz himself, even with Aston Villa, you could argue, and help kind of elevate them to that next position. And, like if they were able to get these types of deals over the line, I think Everton will be a really threatening team across the season. And like I mentioned in the intro, one of these ones that very quietly could go under the radar and surprise a lot of people this year. Because David Moyes, this team isn't going to be anyone's mugs. And, in the right game, if they've got enough options on the bench, he's a guy that takes no prisoners. He doesn't mind throwing the kitchen sink at it to get a result if needed. And the more options that you've got to kind of play the game, play the fixture for a team like Everton, who against, how many teams in the Premier League this year will be playing European football every midweek, where Everton don't really have that same burden, similar to Man United in fact. So I think, there will be something for these teams that don't have midweek football but have a really strong, cultured, high level team that most weekends are going to be right up for it and will get points early season that maybe the likes of your Palaces and your Forests and whatever probably won't do. So I think David Moyes' Everton are really set up in a good position now, kind of on the field and off the field in many ways, coming into this year, unlike many other seasons that have gone by. And if they can trickle over, a Dibling permanent move, a Grealish kind of, however you can make that deal happen, and then on top of the Kieran Dewsbury Hall signing add in someone like Douglas Luiz, they kind of have a little bit of everything in the mixture. They've got X Factor, they've got work ethic, they've got a target man, they've got a solid back four, they've got a goalkeeper they can rely upon, and they've got versatility, depth, quality in midfield and in the wide areas. It's a really lean squad, but it could be a very powerful build from David Moyes this season. So let's cross our fingers for Everton fans and get these deals over the line. Is there anything I've missed? Of course, feel free to let me know in the comments section. I look forward to picking up with Everton again as maybe some of these moves develop and unwind, and we maybe see the clearer picture coming into the season. I hope you've enjoyed this one. On screen now some other stuff that we've made that the YouTube thinks you might enjoy. If you haven't done so already, please do hit the subscribe button for more content like this. Hit the like button, of course, as well. Stay out of trouble, and I will catch you on the next one.